Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I'm dancing along with on my life as I hustle. Hurting all the way and trying to get by. And I bump you. Hurting all the way that you coming from. Nigga, fuck you. I'm doing all things on my life. Cause I hustle. Welcome to the We-On-Loc Nation channel. Sorry about the no notifications. Didn't really know if I was coming on or not. Usually I don't come on a Tuesday night. But I just decided to take a day off. Uh, let's get to work. Let's get to work. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click on the notifications. Listen, might tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, support Jasmine Crockett if you are a supporter. If you are a supporter of Jasmine Crockett, go to change.org. Go to change.org. I'll be putting the link in the description. / swearing Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate. She did like a one of those press conferences for everybody to ask questions and stuff like that. We'll review that real quick. We'll review that and plus more, plus more. No distractions, no disturbances. Uh, we do not care what JD Vance or anybody from that other side has to say about her. We don't care about their racial prejudiceness. So, without further ado, and do mind me of the cell phone movement. Next year, I plan on having some new equipment or somewhere around, and I want to give a distinction of my last little live stream. Today is the 23rd. So around, I would say the last Sunday for me will be on the 28th. The last Sunday for me to be streaming will be on the 28th. I want to be, I want to thank all my subscribers and I want to thank us for hitting 15K. That was not easy. Some say it might not be organic. It's organic to me because I ultimately did the right things. I don't I don't what you call them. Um, Buy subscribers. I wouldn't even know how to plug that shit in. Even if I bought subscribers, I wouldn't even know how to plug that shit in. I wouldn't even know how to. I wouldn't even know how to buy subscribers. So this is a little bit genuine to me. Uh, I said this before and I'll say it again. Due to some influencers, 3 individuals that I would thank. Mahogany, shouts out to Mahogany Roots. Go to Mahogany Roots' channel. Support her channel. Uh, Lisa, one of my mods, and Barb, one of my mods. The 3 individuals who put me in this position to succeed. I am internally grateful for their help. Definitely internally grateful. Happy Tuesday to you. Definitely happy Tuesday to you. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get it.
Through my Swift Vote Act, which modernizes election administration and helps states reduce wait times at polling locations. Make it easier for families to afford healthy food, not just whatever's cheapest through the SHOP Act, which strengthens nutrition incentives for families using SNAP. Take on the opioid crisis with real tools that save lives and hold traffickers accountable, including the Stop Fentanyl and Xylazine Act and the Test Strip Access Act and the Alert Communities Act. Protect federal workers from being financially punished when the government shuts down through the Help Feds Act, which pauses student loan payments when workers miss pay through no fault of their own. Stop the president from intimidating the press or abusing government power through the Free Speech Act, which protects press freedom from political retaliation. Make sure that taxpayers are not footing the bill for a president's personal legal problems through the No Presidential Payouts Act, which blocks taxpayer funds from being used to cover a president's legal expenses. Honor our veterans and their service, including a Veterans Day resolution recognizing Texas veterans and oversight, pressing the VA on staffing and care concerns. Demand basic transparency and accountability from ICE through the Clear ID Act, which requires federal immigration officers to clearly identify themselves, and so much more. Now, y'all know one of my core responsibilities in Congress is holding the executive branch accountable. And this year, my office has initiated nearly 20 investigative inquiries and joined more than 200 multi-member investigative inquiries. And while a lot of this work happens in Washington, the work at home matters just as much. This year, we've hosted 34 events across Texas' 30th Congressional District and secured more than $5.5 million in funding for community projects right here in Texas 30. Before I start answering some of your questions, I want to emphasize that my office exists to serve you. If you are experiencing issues with a federal agency, whether it involves Social Security, the VA, immigration, passports, or the IRS, my constituent services team may be able to help. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Now I want to hear from you, so I'm going to turn it over to my Deputy Chief of Staff, Kendall Locke, to moderate the Q&A portion.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Before we move to questions, and again, if you have a question, press star on your keypad. I'll put you in line so that someone on our team can capture that question, and we can ask it time permitting, or if you're not watching website, you can just type in your question underneath the streaming player, and it'll come to us. Or if you're streaming on any other platforms, just type the question there, and we'll be sure to grab it. But just wanted to note, of course, our team hosts numerous events throughout the year. Next year will be no different from our mobile office hours to other district initiatives. So as we schedule those events, you're able to find those on our website by visiting crockett.house.gov. Once you are there, you can click on the events tab, and you'll find each event as well as the respective time and location. In addition, as the Congresswoman mentioned, constituent services is something that we pride ourselves on. So if you are in need of any services or anything that you're facing with a federal agency, you can visit the same website, crockett.house.gov, and under the services tab, you will find a tab that is a sub-tab that is titled Help with a Federal Agency, and that way you're able to submit a privacy waiver and be able to receive assistance from our casework team. So one other thing to note, if you have not already subscribed or if you are not receiving our weekly newsletter and you would like to, please press star 6 on your keypad, and you will be added to the distribution list. So, Congresswoman, we have a couple of questions that have already come in. Our first question is around the Affordable Care Act. This question is, what will happen with the ACA tax credit?
Okay, so the question, I don't know if you can hear online, was about what will happen with the ACA tax credits. Oh, can you hear me?
Congresswoman, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, we got you.
Okay, sorry. So the question was about what will happen with the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies. So we're done. Those tax subsidies, they expired on they haven't expired yet, but they will expire at the end of the month. And the House is out, the Senate is out. The House actually had enough signatures to go through a vote on Leader Jeffrey's, what we call discharge petition. So essentially, we've talked about discharge petitions a decent amount here recently, only because they shut down the House when they did not want us to get the 218th signature on the discharge petition for the Epstein files. Well, what they decided to do this time was shut down the House again. And I'm not really sure if it was Epstein that was more concerning to them, or if it was just their cruelty around these tax subsidies. We were supposed to get out on Friday of last week. Instead, we were released on Thursday. Friday was the deadline for the Epstein files. And as you saw, that was quite dramatic. But also, Friday potentially was an opportunity for us to actually take a vote and send a piece of legislation over to the Senate that would extend the tax subsidies for 3 years. So this would have been temporary. Mind you, they've already voted on permanent tax cuts for the top 1%ers forever, but they refused to vote on a tax subsidy that would be temporary for everyday folk. And I will say that as it relates to the Senate had already taken a vote and they voted against any type of tax subsidy. So what I do suggest to everyone, because again, I keep trying to tell people this isn't partisan. It is important that you go ahead and call and find out exactly what your premiums are going to be. So call whoever your health insurance provider is, find out from them what that health premium is going to be. Please report back to us. If you're seeing these increases, I would like to make sure that we put this into the record about how much your insurance premiums are changing as a result of them not having the tax subsidies.
Thank you, Congresswoman. The next question is specifically about that of government shutdown. Of course, we're approaching the deadline in January. What are your thoughts? Will the government shut down? We just have some questions around that. And your thoughts there?
Yeah. I personally believe that we're headed towards a shutdown. The deadline is, of course, going to be at the end of January. I don't know how we're going to avoid it. So again, I don't look at this as being partisan. I look at this as there is just one group of people that could care less about doing what they're supposed to do, which is to govern. So we went back into session. Oh, this is working. We went back into session on, I don't even remember the date, but we went back, finally opened the government back up, and the whole deal for a shutdown, just so that we're all level setting, is that we have 12 appropriations bills. Those bills are supposed to be passed by September 30th. Once you pass your appropriations bills, there is no question about whether or not you're going to be open. So here it was, we were shut down and the House was not in session at all, which meant that we could not even start to gradually reopen the government. Instead, we stayed out, nothing could happen, and they finally voted to reopen the government with a temporary continuing resolution. That resolution will run out on January 31st. Since we've reopened the government, we have not passed one of those 12 appropriations bills. We've not even voted on one of the 12 appropriations bills. So here it is. We went out basically October 1. And after we went out, we didn't get anything done. Here it is. It's now technically 2 months later. Still nothing has been done. So I don't see how we are going to get to the point that we end up in a space in which we reopen the government. I that the government does not shut down. So I see the government shutting down. One of the reasons that I am going to be a little bit more absent than I would like to be from the district, specifically in January, is because we are going to have to stay in DC. And if the government shuts down, I won't be able to get out. Like I'll be stuck there to kind of, make sure that once we shut down, we hopefully reopen.
Okay, we are going to move to our next question. This next question is around immigration. The question is, what is Congress doing to protect mixed status families from sudden separation and deportation?
Nothing. That's the honest answer, unfortunately. Right now, they're not really protecting anyone, if I'm being perfectly honest, mixed status or otherwise. What we're seeing right now is that people are being rounded up by the federal government, regardless of their status. We have American citizens that are being rounded up. On December 9th, I went to the Senate so that we could have a hearing about U.S. citizens that have been arrested. Some have been shot. They have been unlawfully charged. All those things. I'm so confused. We're having issues with our live on Instagram. So right now, I referenced the Clear ID Act that I filed because we've also seen people that have been nabbed by people that have no legal authority. I would argue that even ICE agents are under minimal legal authority because they are currently violating people's rights, their constitutional rights. And that's one of the reasons that we're seeing so many violations take place as relates to individuals that are even citizens. So right now, I just want to say that I applaud everyone in the community because the community is stepping up in a way that they should never have to step up because the federal government has decided to attack its own people from within. It is really a devastating reality of what America has become under this rogue administration. So I just encourage all of you to stay strong. I encourage all of you to stay informed. I also encourage all of you to reach out to our office. We are willing to do all that we can, whether it's assisting as people are going into their appointments, or whether something happens that is disastrous when somebody goes into an appointment, or whether they're just driving down the street, or whatever it is. The only way that we can help is if we know what's going on. And with me serving on the Oversight Committee, as well as serving on the Immigration Subcommittee, we are in a position to at least do something because I am on committees of jurisdiction. But we are really in a bad way right now. And it is going to take all of us standing together and saying, you know what, enough is enough. It is time for us to stand together, lock arms with our brothers and sisters, and understand that this isn't a fight that any of us have an opportunity to sit out. One of the things that we noticed when they went into Chicago is they went into the south side of Chicago. They decided to terrorize, those persons that were living in an apartment building to the extent that they were handcuffing or zip tying children, outside babies. I just don't know that this is the America that we want. And frankly, if it is the America that you want, then great. You got exactly what you want. But I've got news for you, that if they can do this to one of us, they can do this to any of us. We have seen that here recently with, obviously, the incarceration or the arrest and the prosecution of my colleague, LaMonica McIver, who was simply trying to exercise her oversight duties at Delaney Hall, which is an immigration detention facility in New Jersey. And here recently, we know that someone else just died at Delaney Hall. The fact that they are trying to charge a sitting member of Congress, actually not trying, but they are charging a sitting member of Congress with offenses where she's facing up to 17 years in prison because she literally was trying to conduct oversight so that hopefully there would not be a scenario where somebody would die. When we are living with an administration that has the deadliest ICE record on history in this country for 1 year, and frankly, I don't trust all of the numbers that we get from ICE in the first place. I don't trust the numbers that we get from this administration at all. We know that this administration has consistently been caught lying. We know that this administration specifically got caught up on the jobs numbers and not giving us the real numbers. We know that the CCOT special that they wanted to stop from coming out, the 60-minute special, we know that as it relates to that, they kept trying to tell everybody that they were just rounding up a bunch of criminals. But by their own records, they were only showing that 3% of the people that were located in that facility were criminally justice impacted in some way, meaning that either they were facing new charges or that they had any convictions. 3%. And you're telling me that it's okay to torture somebody. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all that, like, I know we want to talk about citizen versus not, but with the Supreme Court doing what they've done, the Supreme Court has decided that it is okay to racially profile people. So if you have an accent or if your skin color just is not one that they think is quote unquote American enough, then that will be enough to grab you. And with them deciding that they are going to ignore the Constitution and ignore the fact that everyone, regardless of who they are, has a right to due process where they can actually show literally their papers. Right now, a lot of citizens are getting rounded up in this. So I don't want people to believe that this is an issue that we only need to leave to immigration. This is an issue that is impacting all of us from a very direct standpoint of any of us potentially being rounded up to the extent that we know that there are a lot of people that are immigrants and some that aren't, that are too afraid to take their children to school, too afraid to go to work. This is impacting us in our economy. We know that tourism is down. We really need to understand that, what affects one affects all. And we must continue to stand united.
All right, we're going to take an admission, calls for the pause. Take a brief admission to go in so I can put this thing in the chat real quick. And I want you to go to, if you are a supporter of Jasmine Crockett, you will go to change.org. Excuse me. You will go to change.org, because November election, early elections is in March. Just to remind you, you can vote in early March, but November is the big head honcho. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, Gino. And for those who don't think, I've seen your comments going crazy. For those who don't think that you can get snatched up, that is absolutely positively true. Because one of the things that he has violated is your right, it is your civil right, your legal right of you being here in the United States. He don't think you American. But simply put, if you don't have that paper, if you ain't talking like American, then hey, they can deport you. It has been done. It has been done. They have pulled people out of their homes before. They have pulled people out of their homes. I think this is it. They have pulled people out of their homes before, so especially in Chicago. Especially in Chicago. I don't know why this does this. Okay. I will copy the link and I will put it in the chat box. So please go to change.org. All you got to do is just hit the link. All you got to do is just hit the link. And it's free. Hit the link. Sonia Hancock, it's free. It is free. No charge. You're free, no charge. You said get them out. Eh, you're you're stupid because basically, if like it or not, immigrants make money for Americans. If believe it, don't want to believe it. Okay, I already put it in the subscription box. You sign on. Those who are Jasmine Crockett supporters, go ahead and hit the link. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's go ahead and continue on with Jasmine Crockett. With Jasmine Crockett.
Specifically around the Epstein file. The question Jasmine Crockett is specifically around the Epstein file.
Well, okay, let's see. Okay, so here's the deal on the Epstein files. There are people that are absolutely functioning above the law. I will say that this administration believes that they are above the law. I have consistently made sure that I've made it clear that we need to make sure that there are going to be state and local prosecutors that are going to be at the ready once this administration is done, because I still don't know how much we'll be able to get done with this Department of Justice. They are serving in this moment, but Pam Bondi will not be the Attorney General forever. Mark my words on that. And so having, this is a matter of protecting the hen house. That's the issue that we are dealing with now. We have no daylight between the executive branch and the Department of Justice. We have no daylight between the executive branch and the House and the Senate. We have no daylight between anybody and the executive branch. And that is why we have gathered for No Kings rallies and things like that, because really a lot of people have ceded their power over to someone who has said multiple times that he wants to be a dictator. And the only way that you can do that in a democracy is if everybody else rolls over. And so the Department of Justice is the one that would typically do the enforcement. Now, we may have some options with our courts. We know that the only reason Tish James had her charges dismissed and Comey had his charges dismissed was because the judiciary stood strong. We know that the only way that we were about to see some semblance of fairness as it relates to the state of Texas and our maps was because a Trump-appointed judge wrote a 160-page opinion. And in that opinion, he laid out why the maps were racist. And just so y'all know, because I testified in front of this 3-judge panel, I can tell you none of them were black. So I don't want y'all to think that this was a color thing. You know, I really long for the days that our judges are just calling balls and strikes and following the law. I will tell you that there are plenty of judges that have done a lot better by us than the Supreme Court itself. The Supreme Court, in my opinion, is compromised. The Supreme Court, in my opinion, needs some supervision. And the only body that can actually provide that supervision is the Senate. The Senate is the body that oversees the Supreme Court as well as the judiciary as a whole. And we also need to think about where we stand on asking people about things such as term limits for some of these judges. I wrote a bill where we are proposing, or I'm a co-sponsor of a bill where we're proposing an 18-year term limit on judges. That's still a long time, y'all. That's a very long time, 18 years. But it would ensure that our judiciary stays fresh. It would ensure that it turns over. It would ensure that hopefully, no matter, you know, what the political winds are for that moment, that we can kind of keep the judiciary up with where the people are. So these are the questions that we should be asking about, you know, where do you stand on term limits? Where do you stand on expanding the court? Where do you stand on some sort of ethics reform or ethics in general? Because the Supreme Court is the only judges in the United States of America that have no ethics that they have to abide by, which is quite astounding. So.
Congresswoman, the next question, which is a question that came up earlier today, is around what is happening in Venezuela. The question is, what can a congresswoman do about Trump? What can be done to stop him? He is trying to start a war with Venezuela.
Yeah, so basically, for those of you that aren't aware, the president has been unilaterally deciding to kill people that are in international waters. As it relates to the killings that have taken place, they are on what many believe to be small fishermen boats. The death toll that we have, which again, you can always ask questions. The death toll that we currently have is that they've killed approximately 103 people. The president has argued that he does not need approval of the Congress, and frankly, the cowards that currently control the House and the Senate are not trying to rein him in as it relates to these actions and declare that these are amounting to war, and therefore Congress is supposed to approve that. In addition to the fact that, again, this goes back to constitutional rights. The president has argued that these are drug cartels that are trying to bring drugs to our borders. Even if that is the case, they've not made it to our borders, number one. Number two, we believe in due process in this country, which means that if you are accused of a crime, you have an opportunity to be told exactly what you're charged with and to defend against those charges. And frankly, I don't know of a state. Now, I'm not licensed in every state to practice law, but I am licensed in multiple states as well as multiple federal courts. I have never seen a law on the books, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, hit me on the live and tell me, but I've never seen a state or the federal government give anybody the death penalty for drug trafficking. I've never had anybody be charged with drug trafficking in my many years of practicing law, and death penalty was actually on as an option for punishment. So the idea that people are just being arbitrarily killed, and it doesn't seem like there is very strong evidence that these are actually people that are even committing the crimes that he's alleging that they have committed. And this is why due process matters. And this is what is supposed to separate us from other countries that aren't democracies. These are the principles that we are supposed to live by and stand by. And to be clear, before anybody says that I support the drug traffickers, I do not. I can tell you that this president, though, does actually have a track record, because this president consistently decides that he is going to pardon people, including drug traffickers. So I don't know how on one end you're going out and you're killing people because you believe that they're drug traffickers, while others that have actually been convicted of drug trafficking and are sitting in federal custody, he's decided to let them go. Like, make it make sense. So this is not healthy for us. This is not safe for us. And that is why I am hoping that people can start to just kind of wake up and say, this isn't about Republicans or Democrats. This literally has to be about right and wrong. And frankly, he is making our country more dangerous every single day. And I think that that's why you've seen even a Marjorie Taylor Greene break away.
Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Dennis, I see you, bro. I see you.
Individuals that if you have not subscribed, or if you are not subscribed to receive our newsletter, that you can press *6 on your keypad, and that will be able to. That way, we'll be able to grab your email and add you to our distribution list. Congresswoman, a question safe to get vaccines for their children. They said, I don't trust RFK.
Okay, I'm going to answer that in 2 seconds. But I did see a question about someone saying that they were asking, what do you do if you're a U.S. citizen and you're picked up by ICE? First of all, I would tell anyone, if you have an attorney, make sure your first call is to your lawyer. Even if it's not an immigration attorney, your lawyer will be able to identify and get an immigration attorney for you. The second phone call that I would make would be to my congressional member. Make sure that we know exactly what's going on, because we do have legislative authority to, number one, we can get into facilities, come and see, come and check on you, that kind of stuff. And, right now there have been concerns about, them not letting lawyers in and some other complaints, them not allowing people to communicate without having a certain number, all that kind of stuff. So if you are being taken in, you want to communicate with a lawyer that hopefully you already have. If you don't have a lawyer, make sure you know who your congressional member is and make sure you call their office and let them know the full information that they're asking for. And yes, so that we can track you. So that's a very important question. As far as not trusting RFK, I don't blame you. I mean, we talking about the man that's got worms on his brain. I completely get it. I will say that, the vaccines, you need to make sure that these are the same vaccines. He's not necessarily changing vaccines. Like, he ain't in the kitchen cooking. All right. So vaccines that were trusted before, they should still be good to go, because he's not mixing things up. What he's doing is he is making recommendations on which vaccines children should and should not take. I would not take his advice on the vaccines that children should take. I would take the advice of an actual doctor. So I would talk to your pediatrician and ask them. I would also obviously listen to the guidance of the schools that your children attend, as it relates to what is necessary to keep children at school safe, and what's required of the district. Now, you may have some crazy districts that don't require anything, which is how we ended up with the terrible measles outbreak. It's because of some of the guidance that RFK put out there, as well as some of these school districts doing the most. And now measles, which was basically eradicated, is not. So listen to your doctors. Don't listen to RFK.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Be sure you get the lights up. Get the lights up
Of
for me, please. Thank you.
Official teletown hall, but more of a technical question. Someone wants to know that, recognizing that you are running for the Senate, if you lose, will you continue to serve in Congress?
All right. Okay, so we've got to get through this part. I'm on my official account, so I'm limited on things that I can say, but I can tell you that in the state of Texas, you have to pick one. And actually, that's just kind of across the board. So I will only be on the ballot for one position. That position is going to be for U.S. Senate. That means that I did not file for re-election to the U.S. House. I can tell you that, there are going to be races taking place for Texas 30, and then there's going to be a race for Texas 33. So they ended up cutting my district as it relates to strictly Democratic seats. They cut my district up. I currently reside in Texas 33, and about 500,000 of my constituents from Texas 30 are still in Texas 30. So they divvied us up, but no, I will not be in the House, but we're going to win.
Okay, our next question is about SNAP. The question is, I've heard Republicans want to cut SNAP again. How would that affect families here in North Texas?
Yeah, this is such an important question. So when you talk about cutting SNAP again, when they implemented the big ugly bill, we didn't really feel the brunt of it. So think back to how it felt when the government shut down and what was taking place with the 42 million people that are on SNAP benefits. They have decided to roll back a lot of funding for SNAP. And so there's going to be a good portion of those 42 million that will not have access to SNAP benefits going forward. They made it to where a number of these cuts will not necessarily take place immediately. They have some of these things going to affect as we get past the midterms. Surprise, surprise. But what I want to tell you is that when you think about SNAP benefits and you think about food, think about it as an ecosystem.
Thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by and watching the show. Thank you.
Right now, we have people that are losing their jobs. We know that there's the reporting on Nebraska and the Tyson plant as it relates to beef. We know that in Amarillo, right here in Texas, the Tyson plant that handles beef is actually about to let people go as well. And that is because beef production is down. We have a record number of ranchers and farmers that are filing for bankruptcy. I've said this over and over. But the reason that I point this out is because when you remove the SNAP benefits, it's not a matter of that money just reappears magically. And now these people that needed that money to support them, they all of a sudden have the money. In fact, we're going to see a greater need for things such as SNAP benefits because we are experiencing this record high unemployment right now. We've got 1.1 million people that have lost their jobs at the same time in which we're reducing benefits. So once you have farmers and ranchers that are going out of business, that means that there's less food that is being produced here. By the time you get to the grocery stores, the cost of your groceries go up. They go up partially because it's almost like there's just not enough supply. It's just straight up supply and demand. They also are going up because of the tariff policies in our trade. So some of our farmers and ranchers are struggling because they're not able to export, and therefore they're just struggling to survive. And so in order for the grocery store to keep their doors open, even though now they don't have this extra money that comes from SNAP recipients, they have to increase their cost. So we are being bombarded in all ways as it relates to cost. And when you start to increase the cost of food in general, it's not just at the grocery store, it's at the restaurants as well. I was talking to one of the family-owned soul food restaurants in my district today, and they were complaining to me and telling me, now they've been around for years, and they were saying that like the person that they get their beef from is going out of business. And they were like, they can't believe it. It's not even been a full year. And that's what she was telling me. I was at another small business. Today it was Odom's, yesterday it was, or Sunday it was Nana's in Fort Worth. And she was explaining to me how difficult it is because most of the time these restaurants, they only have a slim profit margin as it is. And they're trying to do their best because people are already struggling. So they don't want to price people out of being able to come and eat their food. But we are in a bad way. And that's not even talking about the farm bill that we are 3 years behind on. A farm bill is supposed to be for 5 years. And our farmers and ranchers have been asking for that. We really do need some real checks and balances so that we can start to check this administration for the benefit of all, not just Democrats, not just urbanites, but everybody.
Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. She's not perfect, but at some point in time, you're just gonna have to say when. When is when? And it's been what, 2 weeks since or a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks since she announced that she was running for U.S. Senate. So I would advise strongly for everyone to calm down and just give her a chance. Just cut her some slack. Give her a chance.
The next question is around how would Medicaid cuts affect hospitals and healthcare access throughout our community?
Yeah, so the Medicaid cuts, it's much like my answer around food. They pulled $1 trillion out of Medicaid and Medicare. $1 trillion. And that was all so that they could start to pay for the tax cuts that they made permanent for very rich people. But what people don't realize is that they cut $1 trillion, but that still doesn't cover how much they gave in tax cuts to the richest amongst us, to the extent that we ended up going further into the deficit, okay? But when you remove all that money, people don't stop getting sick. They still get sick, right? They're still going to go to the hospital. In order for the hospital to keep their lights on, now they don't have Medicaid and Medicare spending the amount of money that they would normally spend. So then they spread that cost out to us. So we're going to pay more for our hospitals to stay open. So the cost of healthcare in general is going up. So we're seeing it in we're seeing it in the healthcare premiums in general as they're bracing and preparing for that. It only got exacerbated and more complicated when they decided that those on the Affordable Care Act receiving subsidies, that they would also take those away. I mean, all we've seen, and they have said it over and over, but I'm hoping you're understanding why we keep saying that this is the largest transfer of wealth in the history of this country, because we're taking from people that really need it and we're giving it to the richest amongst us. And to be clear,
correct,
you know, the images during the shutdown were so powerful of who it is that needs, say, food assistance. There's been an image of who it is that needs food assistance, but the reality is that there's a lot of working people. In Texas, the minimum wage is $7.25. There are still people that only get paid $7.25. And therefore, they can't make ends meet. Like, they just can't make it work. And so seeing the images of people that are having to line up, having to seek out food, needing to rely upon the government to help them out a little bit, all while the people that employ them are putting more money in their pockets. You know, I don't see how this is sustainable, and it's not. This is why, you know, polling is clear that Republicans are starting to lose a lot of ground as it relates to the economy. It seems like they have to crash it, and then Democrats have to come in and clean it up. The last time we had a balanced budget was under Bill Clinton. And imagine your boss is already eating at 5-star restaurants, right? And now, and you literally don't know how you're going to get your SNAP benefits. And then at the same time, we're like, hey, boss, like, we're gonna find a 6-star restaurant, right? Like, we're just going, why not, right? And then the taxpayers are still going to foot the bill for you not taking care of your workers. At a very minimum, we should be requiring that they take care of their workers and that they pay them better, instead of us footing the bill both ways. We're letting you keep more money, and we're still picking up the bill because you don't want to take care of your workers. It's not right. Like, this is simple math. Like, this isn't complicated. This is about having the courage to call a thing and do what needs to be done.
So, Congresswoman, the next question that we're going to turn to is around public education. So the question is, Governor Greg Abbott recently announced a statewide push to expand Turning Point USA's chapters in schools across Texas. What is your view on public schools being directed to host a specific political advocacy organization?
Yeah, it's a no for me, obviously. And to be clear, I don't think any organization that is pushing any political agenda should be welcomed in our schools. I think that when you are, you know, I mean, obviously on plenty of our college campuses, they've got young Democrats, they've got young Republicans, they've got all of those organizations mandating and pushing for specific chapters. I mean, it sounds like nothing more than a cult. And that's not what we are supposed to be pushing. I would actually advise Governor Abbott, as well as the Republicans, to do everything that they can to, number one, protect children in schools, because there are real issues, especially in Texas schools. We know that we've seen school shootings that are out of control, specifically in Texas. So if he wants to do something for our children in schools, he could start there. He also can make sure that they get a real history lesson, which he's obviously decided that he doesn't want them to have. We should be teaching an accurate history so that hopefully people aren't doomed to repeat it, much like this tariff situation that we found ourselves in. Maybe if the people in charge had maybe studied up on history a little bit, then they'd know that this isn't a good move. And the final point that I'll make specifically about our schools in Texas, and one of the things that was really devastating that came from the state level, was this voucher scam that he has decided that he wanted to move into, which defunds our public schools that are overseen by elected officials that come from the community, and taking those dollars and then placing those dollars into private schools. No matter how much money you may have, you can get a voucher, right? And take that money away from the public school and put it into this private school that is not required to admit your child. It is truly devastating when our public school teachers are already struggling to make ends meet. Many of them are always dedicating more to this job than the job will ever give to them. A lot of times having to come out of their own pockets. And so I think that there's a lot that the governor could do to help our children. Putting Turning Point USA into the classrooms and into the schools is not one of them.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Next question is, how do you explain record corporate profits alongside stagnant wages?
I think that is the answer. You keep your wages down and you just keep taking. I will say that I feel like we were making some progress under the previous administration, regardless how you feel about the Biden-Harris administration. You got to give credit where credit is due. And we know that President Biden was the most union-friendly president that we've ever had. And so when you see collective bargaining, you essentially see the power of coming together. You see the power of unity. A theme I've been trying to hit. We got to stay unified, y'all. But you see that, and you saw some of these record-breaking kind of deals that have been made, whether it was in the auto industry, whether it was deals that the Teamsters were able to secure. We saw this. And so we saw where they were able to get wages to go up. And frankly, even those, say, in the auto industry that were not in positions where they were unionized, they saw their wages go up, because the thing is, they need to remain competitive, right? So it helps everybody. This is just good policy. So we were making progress, and now all that's rolled back, because the protections, whether we're talking about union protections in the federal government or otherwise, this administration, along with the Republicans in the House and the Senate, have saw fit to remove any of those protections and remove the ability to collectively bargain. It is a lot easier to say raise the wage when there's a whole group of people that are saying this is what we're going to do, and if you're not going to do it, then we out, versus one person at a time trying to get it done. So I do think union busting is part of the problem. And the other part is just that we got people that are greedy. I mean, we know, I remember there was a report that came out, and y'all can Google this, during the campaign for president, and Kroger admitted that they were price gouging. They admitted basically that they were blaming things on inflation, and it really wasn't, and that they were in fact price gouging. And so I do believe that we were experiencing some of that. I don't know that I believe we currently are. Obviously I'm not getting as accurate reporting under this administration, but knowing that most companies, if they have good sense, recognize the current economic environment, they should be doing everything to keep costs as low as possible so that they can keep their doors open, because people just don't have the money. What we're going to see is people just holding on to money. We'll see what the numbers look like as it relates to y'all shopping for Christmas. We know that travel has been consistent and has been consistently high, which freaks me out a little bit because I don't trust this administration as it relates to our transportation. But every time I'm in the airport, I speak to TSA workers, I speak to usually supervisors, I speak to law enforcement at the airports, and I'm usually asking them, like, what's travel looking like? People that have been doing this for some time, and y'all are outside, that is for sure. But I think that there is still kind of this longing to be together, especially the harder the times get. I don't know if y'all are really spending as much money. So I'd be interested to see what the reports look like as it relates to Christmas. Y'all tell me, have y'all been spending money a lot, or are y'all kind of going lean for Christmas? I'd be curious to know.
So, Congresswoman, we're going to try to squeeze in a couple of more questions.
That means I got to go fast. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, this next question is, the administration just announced that they're cutting 35,000 jobs at the VA. Do you think these cuts could impact care at the Dallas VA?
Oh, absolutely. The Dallas VA is one of the largest VAs in the country. I'm proud to be the congresswoman for the Dallas VA, and thank you so much to all of our service members, both veterans as well as our current service members, especially in this time. We already know, in fact, I've done a couple of investigations as it relates to care at the VA and wanting to get reports from the Inspector General about the depletion of care, how many people are just getting surgeries canceled, getting rescheduled, and really trying to get a good grasp on what is happening. But with us having one of the largest VAs in the country, I know for sure that these cuts are going to impact us. It's a shame, but when you look at someone's budget, that tells you where their priorities lie. And right now, it seems like the only people that are being prioritized either have the last name Trump, or they are the one percenters, or they are people that know how to gas the president up and make him happy.
Our next question is, the Trump administration recently announced it will start garnishing wages from people who are in default on student loan debt. Do you think this will help solve our student loan crisis?
Absolutely not. There's no way that this is going to help solve the crisis. Again, just so that we can level set on this particular issue. When it came to student loan forgiveness, I remember being on the trail and being critiqued because people felt like the Biden-Harris administration did not go far enough on student loan debt forgiveness. I will tell you that the former Secretary of Education, Cardona, he was amazing and he understood the real struggles. This was someone who came from a classroom setting, so he absolutely had the experience. He knew what the struggles were, and so we had the SAVE Act that was able to reduce payments. They went through a lot to recalculate who it was that should qualify for the student loan forgiveness under the fact that they had engaged in public service for 10 years. So they recalculated, got a lot of people off. They were trying to do whatever they could to make it manageable. They even were working on a way of recalculating how your student loans hit your credit to the extent to give you more accessibility to the ability of buying a home so that your student loan debt would not hold you down and prevent you from being able to do so. Unfortunately, this administration believes in kicking people while they're down. I don't really have another explanation for why it is that the few people that are working, because again, we've lost 1.1 million jobs, as we've already talked about, wages being stagnant, yet prices going up. I don't know why then you would be going and garnishing people's wages at this moment. I just, especially if we're talking about people are, having to adjust to the fact that you did not want to allow them to be in the lower repayment category that they were in. It just seems cruel and callous. I don't really have an explanation. If somebody has some sort of explanation that they think makes sense, then great. But the fact that we're going to try to get our dollars to support this government, whether it's to put over $200 million into the president's pockets, as he believes he's entitled to money because he believes he was aggrieved in being charged for being a criminal, or whether we're talking about the fact that he decided to arbitrarily send $40 billion to Argentina, or if we're talking about the fact that Kristi Noem decided she needed 2 brand new private jets, or he needed a new gifted from Qatar jet, Air Force One, that then we have to spend over $1 billion to outfit and make sure that it's secure. Or if we're just paying for his golfing visits that are racking up crazy amounts of money. I just don't think that it makes sense that this is the place that you're going to go and get the money to pay for these things. I just don't. I think that it would have made more sense to go ahead and have corporations and rich people pay their fair share. And I want to be clear. I have talked to rich people that are okay with paying their fair share. Okay. So not everybody is some slimy person that doesn't care about everyone else. We've seen Jeff Bezos' ex, McKinsey, who has invested record amounts of money into HBCUs in this moment. So I do want y'all to understand that there are rich people that are absolutely saying the same thing. Tax me if it means that our society is going to be better off. It is okay. I am willing to pay my fair share. And then you have pricks that look like the Trumps, whether we're talking about, his son now having federal contracts in spaces that he's never operated in, and taking money from the federal government, or if we're talking about the fact that we pay Elon Musk, last time I checked, $8 million a day. Like, why are we stealing or making life harder for people that obviously needed a loan so that they could move up in their station? And instead of going and finding this money somewhere else, this is where we decide to find it. We decide to find it with the people that are trying their best to pay their student loans back, the people that are on Medicaid and Medicare, the people that are on SNAP benefits. Do you see a theme in what is happening?
So, Congresswoman, that unfortunately is our last question. So we're going to turn it to you for any closing remarks you have.
Yeah. So I just want to say, after we just had this very long, hour-long talk for my last teletown hall of the year, I know that it seems so bleak. I know. And I just got done running it down for you because I don't know how to do anything other than be real with you. But I want you to stay encouraged. I truly believe, as I've been saying over and over and over, that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I believe that, y'all. And we are seeing glimmers of that, right? We're seeing the elections that are taking place. We're seeing that people are frustrated. We're seeing the people coming together in their communities to protect their neighbors as ICE is going out and grabbing them. We're seeing people coming together for No Kings. We are seeing people come together and saying enough is enough. And so, unfortunately, I don't want, I never would have wished any of this on any of us, but I do hope that we're paying attention. I do hope that we are prioritizing ourselves and our futures in this moment. I do hope that we recognize that, again, it may seem like all gloom and doom, but I promise you, on the horizon, there is so much to be hopeful for, because we are going to come together. This may be one of the hardest lessons we've ever had to learn, but I hope that we understand the importance of our voices and that we stay engaged in whatever way that looks like it, whether it means that you're showing up to Congress and you're talking to the members that serve you, or whether you're showing up to city council, you're showing up to the county judge and hollering at him, and the county executive, depending on where you live, or whether you're showing up to the state legislature or the school boards. Just understand that we work for you. And so it is so important that you continue to hold our feet to the fire, that you continue to show up, that you continue to ask questions, and that you continue to press for the type of future that you know you deserve. Do not sit anything out. That is all I've got to tell you, is that they are afraid of you, and that is why they will try to tell you all kinds of stuff. Oh, all parties are the same. Or they'll try to tell you your vote not going to count anyway. Or they'll try to tell you that, this person is a phony. I need you to keep your eye on the prize. I need you to understand what is at stake. And I need you to decide that this is our country and that we will be better than what we look like right now. And we will only be able to do that if we all dedicate ourselves to being involved today and tomorrow and the day after, because future generations are counting on us. So God bless you all. Have a very Merry Christmas. And I just want to sign off by sending a heavenly happy birthday to my grandmother, who truly was my biggest fan. I miss her and I love her every single day, but I know that she's with me. And she's always looking down, and she's laughing at some of these lies about me stealing her money and stuff that they put out there. Never happened, but I miss my granny every single day. And so if you still have your grandparents, please love on them, especially in this moment. Love on your parents, love on your kids. Let's spend Christmas tuning out a little bit and tuning into the people that matter the most and realizing what the reason is for the season. God bless you.
All right. Any questions? Any questions while we just in here chilling? Any questions, any concerns? I see y'all was kicking it in the chat. Some of y'all was agreeing with pretty much everything she had to say. And then there are those who didn't agree, and then there you got those that just run slick at the mouth. So, there any questions? Oh, and she is right. When it comes to your grandmothers and your grandfathers, if you have any of those left, you might want to take the time to be with them, because you never know when they're not going to be here anymore. Trust me, I know. I have no grandmothers and grandfathers left. They're all gone. Zero. I have none left. The only grandmother and grandfather I have left in my universe would be in my wife's family. So family's family, right? So if y'all have any questions, any concerns, do you think she'll do it? Do you think she will turn some of these things around? Now remember, she's running for Senate, not for president. She's running for Senate, not for president. She can get some things cracking. She can get some things, like some laws. She can get some law changed. Excuse me, I can't even say it. She can get some law changed around here. So, any questions? I think she can do it. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again, and this is very important to know that I said it all more than 1,000 times, that the youth is important. The youth, they're going to be the ones that determine whether this world is going upside down or they're going to shape it where it needs to be. Um, she represents a couple of young men in her life when it comes to the congressmen. There's some young congressmen that she has represented. She has spoken with the people, grassroots. She has spoken with grassroots people, the youngins on the ground, which I definitely applaud her for that. But there's this thing, you talk it, but can you walk it? And if we vote for you, you talk a good game, but can you walk it? If we put you in that seat, girl, can you walk it? And I'm not saying this is an easy, quick cakewalk for her. This is not an easy cakewalk for her. Although she's gonna beat James Ventura or whatever his name is. She's gonna beat him because she's already up 52%. She's already up 52% first. I think he's at 43 or 44. I'm not sure, but she's up a margin, and yet this is still a long process. It's a long process to go until November hits. So, and she also addressed that there was a third person running. So she's got a long task ahead of her, but she wouldn't be running if she didn't think she could do it. She wouldn't be running if she didn't think she would do it. One of the ones that I wish she would stop doing, in my opinion, stop talking about Trump. Stop talking about Trump. Stop talking about JD Vance. Stop talking down to them. Or if you're going to talk down to them with facts. Let us deal with the nonsense. I can say whatever I want because I'm not running. I'm not running for anything. I'm not running for no congressman. I'm not running for Senate. I'm not running for senator. I'm not running for legislator. I'm not running for mayor. I am not running for nothing. So I could care less what I say, whatever comes out of my mouth. It ain't hurt me, but it'll hurt her in the process, right or wrong. It'll definitely hurt her in the process. So we support her 100%. We definitely support her. But as I said, the youth is very important. And it's not just the elderly voters. And she has, according to the polls, let me see. And while you're doing all that, you can definitely go like, share, and go to change.org. Let's go to change.org. Definitely go to change.org. Let's see. Oh shit. Oh. Uh-oh. Breaking news. Breaking. We got something.
Turning now to one of the Senate races that both parties are keeping a close eye on heading into the 2026 primary season. Incumbent Republican Senator John Cornyn is facing primary challenges from not one but two MAGA loyalists.
How many of you think this Negro? They're all Republicans. They're all Republicans for the race for Senate. So how many of you, this Negro right here, he's third. But then again, it's like I said, this is a long process. This is a long ways from November. So anything can change. Anybody want him for a U.S. senator for Texas? Well, how about this guy?
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and Congressman Wesley Hunt. While on the progressive side, on the Democratic side, progressive Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett jumped into the race just hours before the filing deadline and will face off against State Representative James Tallarico, who grew his national profile while fighting the GOP's redistricting push in Texas. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez recently spoke with Congresswoman Crockett as part of our Meet the Press, Meet the Candidate series, and began by asking her what her internal polling said about getting into this race.
My polling said I should run. That's pretty much what it said. Listen, polling for me was a benchmark to determine whether or not I was truly competitive. I will tell you that it showed that I am absolutely competitive to the extent that some people are probably very concerned about the fact that I entered this race. Thus, I've been on the receiving end of lots of love. We'll say it that way since I've entered.
Well, look, Democrats have been trying to flip this seat for quite a while now. What makes you think you can do this differently and actually be successful this time?
Yeah, well, something's a little different about me. So we can start there. But no, I think that when I looked at everything, when I poured over historical data, when I talked to other candidates that have run statewide, from talking to Colin Allred to talking to Beto O'Rourke, to examining kind of what all happened in those races, as well as talking to people like Stacey Abrams about what that looked like in Georgia, I came to the conclusion that there were a couple of things that could give us an advantage. Number one, this environment is a terrible environment for the Republicans. Number two, we know right now that they are going to be locked into a race most likely until May. We've not seen them have to kind of go at it and fight for such a long amount of time. And number four, we historically start with a candidate who has a great resume, but unfortunately doesn't have necessarily the name ID. And so when we're talking about $100 million race, we're starting, and that money has to be spent just so that people can start to learn that person's name and start to build a rapport. At least walking into this race, we know that our first dollars, they go to actually turning people out and more so towards persuasion and expansion. It's hard to expand if the base itself still is trying to get to know who you are.
Speaking of name recognition, there is an occupant at the White House who I cover on a daily basis who knows exactly who you are, brings you up quite a bit. Is that part of the reason why you say you have such high name recognition? And aren't you the foil that Republicans want to run against?
That's exactly what they like to put out there. But I don't know how many poker players normally reveal their hand before they win. And so that is what they're saying. Now, going to your first question about the name ID, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, we've always done layered communications. So my communications have not been limited to cable news networks. It's been quite expansive, from radio to local radio to nationally syndicated radio to podcasts to news stations, local as well as national, print as well as TV, as well as we've built our own ecosystem. I actually have more followers on our YouTube channel than anyone else in the House or the Senate. And YouTube, the reason that I specifically bring it up is because that's where a lot of people go for a lot of their information. So people will go and watch those longer form videos of the work that I'm doing, whether we're talking about my town halls, which I do those once a quarter, or I even send out weekly emails of everything that I've done in the district for the week. So that's part of it. Obviously, the president saying my name also makes people say, well, who is Jasmine Crockett, if they don't know who I am? So that's definitely put it out there as well.
Look, you obviously see an opening here. Still, this is Texas. The
Yep.
president has a lot of supporters in Texas. And one of the key issues in Texas is, of course, immigration. You, of course, have been an outspoken critic of the president's mass deportation policies and of ICE. But a lot of voters, a lot of Americans who voted for President Trump think that he has done a strong job at the border. In fact, border encounter numbers are down. And the president is touting that as a success. You obviously have issues with the way he's going about it, but has the president been successful? Can you acknowledge that on bringing border encounters down?
I will acknowledge that what is being reported is that border encounters are lower. I will also say that we know that this administration has not been the most honest when it comes to reporting numbers, as we know that there's now reporting that they've not been honest about the jobs numbers. What I can tell you is that he has invoked a very inhumane way of carrying out immigration. But I also can tell you is that he has not worked through the Congress, and that's what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. What I also can tell you is that we have a historic number of people that have died in ICE custody since he's been in. What I also can tell you is that we have a historic number of American citizens that have been rounded up. And what I can also tell you is that this Supreme Court, unfortunately, has basically given him carte blanche to go after people because of an accent or because of what they look like, and that is wrong.
Now, the administration will come back and say that it is the Biden administration who was inhumane by allowing chaos, in their words, to go forward at the border, that it was a chaotic policy, and that there was a lot of sex trafficking going on by a lot of migrants that were.
All right. What's so hilarious? What's so hilarious about it? I don't know about the borders and everything. I don't know about that border shit, but motherfuckers, if they want to, they can just sneak by, sneak past. But I seen firsthand what they do to immigrants. I see what ICE has done to immigrants, and boy, oh boy, they got concentration camps. I seen they have video of what those concentration camps look like, and boy, oh boy, let's just hope that ain't you. Let's just hope. While you're laughing and sneakling and giggling, let's just hope they don't snatch your ass up. And let's hope they don't deport you, process you in, and then send you a place where your people will never find you. You can't make no phone calls. They shave your head bald. You're just screwed. And pretty much everybody that's in that cell, you're in that cell not by yourself. You're in that cell with over, I would say, 4,000 people. 3,000 to 4,000 people. Yeah. I don't know what the eating arrangements are like, but let's just hope it ain't you, bruh. Why you laughing?
Coming to the U.S., the Trump White House says they've cut down on that. Your response?
They may say that, but ultimately what I know is that we can't, so let me say it this way. I can't say that the border has ever been perfect, and I can't say that I believe that the border is perfect right now. So let me acknowledge that. What I do believe, again, though, is that we need to focus on comprehensive immigration reform, and that means that Congress has to get involved, because what I can tell you is that we had already been behind on asylum cases. We know that our judges had already been overloaded, and that was prior to COVID. We're talking about a backlog of 7 years. That was not making it safe for us because we were not ascertaining whether or not certain people should be in this country.
And quickly, Senator Cornyn reacted to your Senate campaign. He told Semaphore, quote, "Am I hiding my glee? I'll try to wipe the smile off my face. I would say it's a gift." Colin Allred obviously was successful before, but he was what I would call closer to a normal Democrat than Jasmine. She is something else. What's your response?
Yeah, well, you know what? Considering the fact that normal Democrats have been losing, I think that this is absolutely the fight that we need at this moment. I also can tell you that it's quite disappointing that the senator has decided that he has to kind of tout this negative kind of persona in order to win over in his primary. I can tell you that the senator, frankly, when there came down to certain things, he was a good partner. I had legislation that I brought from the state level around fentanyl. He's been a partner on that legislation. I had legislation around food security. He's been a partner on that legislation. We actually had President Joe Biden signed a bill of ours into law that was about grant transparency. He actually was more like a normal Republican than these times have called for. But I do think that in this current environment, we probably don't need a normal Democrat if we are going to do the abnormal thing like winning in Texas.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
We thank you for watching. And remember,
That
stay
little
updated on
heifer.
great-
What the hell that little heifer know about goddamn being a goddamn senator. Well, what the hell that little nigger got to know about being a senator? Oh, I tell you, if it wasn't for that damn George Bush, the South would have had a field day with these brown mud people. White power! J.D. Vance! White power! White power! White power! Ugh. Anyway, Rikers Island. Nigga, nobody give a fuck about no damn Rikers Island. How about Alcatraz? Try that. Escape Alcatraz. But I'm not worried about bots. I am not worried about it. I'm just worried about the only thing that worries me is basically nothing. Nothing worries me. She's going to win the primaries. That'll be that. That will be that. Now, people don't like her for obvious reasons, and I get it. I get it. She's a woman. She's a black woman. She's young. She's unfit. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. She's unruly. Anything else? But you don't mind if you didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk's wife. You didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk's wife when she was grabbing up all up on J.D. Vance's back of his head, and he's supposed to be married to an Indian chick. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how you feel about that, me personally. I do not know how you feel about that. It's kind of a contradiction to me, but hey, let me not tell you that. Let me also not tell you how Trump is letting Asians through to get some type of free education or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Is he supposed to be? This is not the American way. This is not the whole visa thing. Yeah. This is not supposed to be this is not American. Is this supposed to be the American way? I thought this was supposed to be Aryan white. Aryan brotherhood. Remember, J.D. Vance said that we no longer live in fear of being white. We no longer live in fear of poverty, and housing markets are down because the immigrants come over here and they're taking up most of our land. He said that. When he said that with such conviction. He said that so proud, as if there's something wrong with being white in America. He proclaims that people actually come to him, and this is how people are emboldened. This is how white folks are emboldened to call our people the N-word all day, every day. You see it throughout YouTube, Rumble, you see it throughout TikTok. They do not care anymore. They just do not care because they got the face the face of the presidency, saying you can say and do whatever you want. You can grab a woman by her crotch and get away with it. She can't say nothing. She can't say nothing because I have immunity. And guess what? I am the president of the United States and I can do whatever the hell I want. You dirty nigger. Now what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it, you nigger? That's Trump. That is Trump all day, every day. If he can break law after law after law and bomb those people who literally was just cruising on a boat to me and ran out of gas, and all of a sudden a B-2 bomber, the first B-2 bomber hits the boat. The second B-2 bomber destroys the people who are trying to survive. That is a war crime. But does the Supreme Court care? No. The Supreme Court does not care. So you are federally fucked unless Jasmine gets in that seat. And let's see what she can do. Let's just see what ultimately she can do. But I know. White folks hate her guts. Some black men despise her. Oh my goodness. I'm not worried about y'all. I'm not worried about us. Because we keep digging ourselves in a bigger hole being black consumers and shit. Yes, the Democrats alone are pieces of shit. Trust you and me. I know this for experience. They are truly pieces of shit. But think about it. How often do you get a shiny star like this? And I do believe I do believe Jasmine Crockett is a shining star. Now, as I said again, she needs to do what she says she is going to do when it comes to policies and shit like that. And if you look at her board, if you look at her numbers are straight. Her policies are okay. Need to put a little bit in. She's going to put a little bit more in there. Let's just see what she does. She just announced that she is running for Senate. Let's see what she does. Let's just see what she does. She still got to do some campaigning. But it's close to Christmas time. Who's doing campaigning close to Christmas time? It's going to be a long one for her. But like I said, if anybody can put Trump in his place, I believe it is her. Because as far as Hakeem Jeffries is concerned, I don't trust it. I don't trust him. I just don't. What do you mean, how? What do I look like? Indian? How? Some of these motherfuckers ask some of the most dumbest questions. How is she gonna put it in place? Simply put, if Trump usually has two women in his mouth. One would be her, Jasmine Crockett, and the other one would be AOC. For some odd strange reason, he hates women, but he has no problems getting immigration women to cling to him because he has fucked over too many American women. But you allowed it. You allow it. by saying and asking the most dumbest questions I've ever heard. Or you will counteract, the facts come out and you will try to counteract the facts. Facts are facts. There's nowhere around it. He was tried in a civil court and lost. Okay? I don't give a fuck if it was federal. I don't give a fuck if it was civil. He lost. He lost when he was saying that Joe Biden, I could care less about Joe Biden as well, but he lost when he said, oh, he was complaining about Joe Biden, and he went to every court that he can go to and lost. He lost. So what did he have to do? Cheat. What do most folks do when they can't get their way or they're losing? And he is the worst president of the United States of America, according to a particular poll. He is worse than Nixon. Cheat. Who endorsed him? Who endorsed Trump? Eli. Eli is a good name for him too. Eli. Eli. Any questions? 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 I'll try my best to answer it. Any questions? There's too many Trump supporters. There's too many Trump supporters in the chat. I will admit that. Too many Trump supporters. How are you doing this Christmas time? Not celebrating the theme of Christmas because I don't believe in pagan holidays, but happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to you. I question people's sanity when they celebrate Christmas. You know where Jingle Bells came? You know where Jingle Bells came from? Let me not tell you, because white folks will have a flashback. It's like, oh, I remember where Jingle Bells came from. And it wasn't from Santa Claus. Hey. Any questions? Yeah, what about the party of slavery and Jim Crow appeal? I can't even, let me read that again. Yeah, what about the party of slavery and Jim Crow appeals to you? What about it? The world may change, but the scenario stays the same. Everybody's forgetting about Dred Scott. Ooh. Everybody's forgetting about Willie Lynch. Ooh. So of course it appeals to me. Again, with the craziness, y'all must be Trump supporters. But then again, I gotta be a little bit more lenient. I gotta be a little bit more lenient. Cause y'all don't know better. So I have to educate you a little bit. Mikasa Sukasa. I don't vote. Okay. Or you don't vote at all, or you just don't. You don't vote nationally. You vote locally, because that's what I do. I vote locally. Know what I'm saying? I vote for my local. I vote for my local party, and that's cool and that's fine, right? Because you get to speak to these people. You get to speak to your senators, not I want to say uh, you get to speak to your senators, your legislators, your congressmen. I haven't spoken to Susie Lee yet. It's about high time I spoken with Miss Susie Lee. But then there are others. But you have to make up in your mind if this is what you want to do. If you feel the need that there are no other great candidates out there other than, hey, let me put it this way. If you do not vote Gavin Newsom, because that's the lesser of two evils, I guess. That is the lesser of two evils. Gavin Newsom versus JD Vance. Who wins? Or you got Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris versus JD Vance and some other guy. So what you got? What do you got? What do you got? Get a haircut. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Both parties suck equally. I know, but hey, again, who are your lesser evils? Jasmine Crockett's a Democrat, but again, there's something about her that maybe something can stick. Something can stick, and I can definitely, other than the whole LGBTQ HIV thing, I don't condone all that. But hey, that's just one of the problems, right? Other than that, she's welcoming and bumping up the minimum wage, which we definitely need that. And how about putting people in position, especially Black people, putting people in position to succeed and to be competitive with other competitors? That would be good enough for me. Especially the young people, going back to the youngins of the United States. This generation growing up, which she has spoken to, and that's a good thing. Talking the talk, gotta walk that walk. Talking the talk, you gotta walk that walk. Oh, ma'am, I would roast you, but I don't have the time for it. I really don't. Must be a Trump supporter. I'll just say that. Trump supporters normally don't get my attention, but I get it. I get it. you and Nikki, you and Nikki are in the same boat. You and Nicki Minaj are in the same boat. So I understand. I get it. But you're nothing to me but another Stacey Dash. And I have to say, God dang it. That's just another waste of Black skin. Damn. And I had Stacey Dash's poster on my wall when I was younger. Good Lord, have mercy, Jesus. I used to have Stacey Dash's poster on my wall. That is crazy. If you say so. I don't see how covering or voting for or supporting a rapist is successful. I'll leave you to that. You liked Obama? I liked Obama when I was younger. Obama, when I was younger, it was exciting for me because of, it was the first black president. Little did I know, and I knew very, very little. As a matter of fact, I was unknowledgeable about him and his politics, but Dr. Umar and others showed me the light. And I'm like, really, really, really? That's who he is? That's because politicians are put in certain politicians are put in position for a reason. Certain ones are being put in position for a reason. Right? And we fall for the banana in the tailpipe. His first 3 years, when he came to Vegas back then, I think it was 2015, he was screaming that "Yes, we can" shit. I was right in front of the third row, and it was like, yes, we going for Obama. Y'all remember the Boondocks back then? Hey, I ain't gonna sing the song, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna sing that song. I ain't D-riding for nobody, motherfucker. I ain't D-riding for nobody. But everybody, no, I got him. You got me, Michelle, Stacey, Bo the dog, and we're gonna go and we're gonna get on this spaceship and leave all you niggas behind. And that's that. That's all. Obama out. Any questions? Any questions? Stop hating. Stop hating on Umar, whether you like him, love him, hate him. Doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Him and others have shown me specifically what Obama was about. Even in his book, which I have not read, but I've heard rumors that he doesn't even consider himself black. He doesn't consider himself black, but you'll say Kamala Harris is black, which she ain't. She ain't. And I'll say it all day. She ain't black. She ain't. But what do you think? I mean, she says she's running again, so I want to know. Got us a few minutes. Exact. Yes. Indian. Yes. Just because you listen to Snoop and Ice Cube, which both of them, I don't know what's wrong. I do not know what is wrong with these celebrities. Pharrell, what is wrong with you, bruh? Are you trying to be like Kanye? Are you really trying to be like Kanye, bro? Anyway, she'll lose again. Third time around, she just might. And then again, it'd be scary because if she can be the first woman, not black woman, the first woman to enter into that White House, I wonder what all these men are going to think. Ooh. These men for so long, it's like, Kamala Harris, I ain't gonna follow orders from this woman because he did that. It's gonna embolden women a whole lot more to be in the positions of power. They're already in the position of power. What are you talking about? You don't say nothing when your boss at work and she's a woman. You don't say nothing at work. So what's so different? What is so different? A woman being the president of the United States versus your supervisor who is a female. What's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference? If she comes by and she says, I'm going to bump up the minimum wage to $25, $26 an hour, you'll be ready to kiss her ass. Oh, Mrs. Madam President. Stop it. Stop. And she gave you a promotion, you'll be bending over, kissing her ass. Stop. Just stop. I left a like. I see potential. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sis. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. I wonder what Margaret Taylor Greene is up to. We don't care. We do not care. I wonder what Candace Owens is up to. We don't care. Not really, because where would she get the money? Oh, hey. Women. Where would she get the money from? Women. Women. Preferably black women. It's only been what? It's only been what? A year? It'll put something out. She may not win the same amount of money, but hey, maybe she can beg Meg Thee Stallion again. Maybe she, I mean, we got Nicki Minaj over here. You got Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B over here. Maybe she can beg Cardi B. Maybe, who knows? I don't want it. I don't like it. I wouldn't go. I'm not going there. I'll vote Jasmine and I'm out. I am out. You ain't getting my vote. Sorry. And I don't even know Gavin Newsom that much. I do not know Gavin Newsom that much. He did embarrass Nicki today. He did embarrass Nicki Minaj embarrassed herself. Shit. What am I talking about? Tulsi Gabbard. Who is Tulsi Gabbard? Who is Tulsi Gabbard? Tulsi Gabbard? Do I know this motherfucker? Who in the blue hell? Who in the blue hell is this?
Aloha. I am proud to stand here before you today. We're not going anywhere. We're here to fight for you and to fight for the red, white, and blue that's behind you. We can't do this alone. It will take all of us who love our country and who deeply cherish our freedoms. Incredibly focused and full of energy and not just looking around, okay, what's the next thing, but here's the 5, 10, 15, and 20-year plan that we really have to keep at the forefront of all that we're doing. And so, well, I didn't get to have that conversation with Charlie here. I had a conversation with Erica backstage, and I got to tell you,
most of these rednecks are ex-military. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is this Cruella de Vil looking. What? Where do these people come from, dude?
continue to be in awe of this woman.
Why does everybody in Charlie Kirk. Now, all these conservatives are having all these fucking excuses about you never knew anything about Charlie Kirk until Charlie Kirk died. All it took is one video. She got the X-Men robe. Now she got the Cruella de Vil look.
I cannot imagine what she's been through, what she is going through. I'm in awe of and grateful for her kindness and her strength and how she has opened up her heart during the toughest of times to the world, and how she continues to exhibit the kind of courage and strength that you and I know can only come from God.
That's another thing. All I hear is these Republicans always praising God, but yet you ship out 25,000 immigrants. You beat them half to death, send them halfway across the country, across the ocean, call them niggas and spics and all this other shit, and call yourselves Christians and praise God. Oh, God. Not to mention, some of you are former Klan members. Y'all remember David Duke, right?
We hear a lot of talk about unity. It's a word that is frequently used. We must stand united. We must come together and unify. But too often, we don't actually think about what that means. To say we have to unite just for the sake of unity, what does it mean? We can unite around the wrong things. We can unite around a negative cause that results in a negative impact. And so when we talk about standing united as Americans, we have to understand what that really means. What is it that binds us together? What are the fundamental principles that we must stand together on, whether we are Democrats or Republicans or people of different religions, people of different backgrounds or different views on certain policies? Fundamentally, the thing that we must unite on is our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, and that every one of us as Americans must remain committed and dedicated to defending. That is our foundation. When we talk, we can look at borders, we can look at land, we can look at territories, but when we truly look at what does it mean to be an American, and the responsibility that every single one of us as Americans carries with us, it is centered on our foundational principles, on that vision that our founders had for us, knowing way back then how challenging it would be and how there would be frequent and consistent attacks on our freedom, and it would be up to us to defend them. And that's exactly where we are today. Charlie understood these threats. He saw them and focused completely on this defense of freedom, not just in words, but in action. He lived that truth that so many of us who either have worn the uniform or wear the uniform live by. I may disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. That's real.
Y'all white always sound the same. Y'all white motherfuckers always sound the goddamn same. What it means to be America. No. What you should have said was, what it means to be white in this country. Same shit. Same shit. All right, peoples. I know it's pretty much y'all's bedtime, but I appreciate y'all hanging out with your boy. We-On-Loc Nation is going to be officially his last live stream is going to be on the 28th, and try to make it alive to remember. Then next year, I'm gonna try to make it a little bit better for y'all. Have people come up on to the live stream and chop it up with your boy. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation. Become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation channel. And thank you for the memberships. And I did read your names earlier ago. If you are a supporter of Jasmine Crockett, please go to change.org. Go to change.org/swear-in Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate. Again, go to change.org/swear-in Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate. And I will see you when I see you.